honestly don't remember why this was on my Steam wishlist, but fuck it, I bought it anyways. Even from first blush, you can tell that this maybe isn't a professional release. Like, I'm not trying to draw lines between what is and what isn't an indie release, but more that this is very much someone's first video game. In fact, from what I can tell, I think this is a one-person job. This is also not me trying to shit on the game, but maybe better contextualize it because it doesn't feel right to talk about it without that understanding of where it's coming from. Valkie 64 is said to be a game inspired by action-adventure games on the Nintendo 64, but like, the use of the plural games implies more than just Legend of Zelda. This is so obviously someone's attempt to make their own Ocarina of Time, to the point where there are some actionable ripoffs, like hello, that's literally the 3D Zelda minimap. But in fairness, there are some things Valkie 64 gets right, and some things it gets wrong. For starters, this might be one of the best looking low poly nostalgia games I've seen. It has done an incredible job in being just blocky and compressed texture-y enough to invoke the immediate call of an N64 release, while also being smooth enough to feel modern and not kill the nostalgia. It balances this so well. There are times where the game honestly looks so impressive in how it's able to present itself, swimming in the memories of yesteryear without drowning in its weight. You can tell that this was the primary focus of Valkie 64, how to go about threading the needle of a nostalgic bygone era with today's creative hands. You can also tell this was the primary focus because it's maybe the only thing the game really does. Valkie 64 feels like a tech demo. There is an attempt at, but overall lack of, design to the game. Let me put it this way. When I was like 14, I, like every other bespectacled and socially drowning nerd, picked up a Dungeons & Dragons player handbook. After thumbing through it a number of times, I decided to try and map out a dungeon. I got 2 rooms in when I realized that I didn't know what I was doing other than just placing enemies and items. What would a 3rd room have? Just more enemies? Even at that age, I knew I was attempting something that would require some level of design mentality. Sure as hell didn't know what that word was back then, though. Repetitious experiences without any drive or reason behind them wasn't going to be entertaining, so I scrapped the dungeon. This is exactly what plagues Valkie 64. Making an action-adventure game is fucking hard work, and it's just beyond the scope of what this creator was able to do. The actual mechanics of combat are mostly fine, but the enemy variety and difference in approach is almost non-existent. Doubly so for bosses, which do nothing but cycle attacks and be big. Dungeons are mostly linear treks between combat rooms, usually with some minor variant to them, but still just rooms where you do a combat. There aren't any puzzles or traps or interesting roadblocks or anything. And I think the through line of Legend of Zelda makes this more apparent. Zelda games give you a variety of items, and therefore a variety of verbs to use to interact with the world. You can build interesting pieces around the use of one or more of these verbs. But because Valkie 64 has no verb set other than combat and maybe platforming, everything is designed around combat and maybe platforming. This leads to funny end results, like still having the Zelda map you collect in dungeons despite them being mostly quick linear experiences that don't really need a map. Honestly, now that I think about it, the reward economy is kind of stunted because of this too. It's not like you ever earn anything meaningful other than rupees or hearts. There are occasional heart pieces or fetch quest items that give you a heart piece, but it's not like you are refilling arrows or bombs or magic. If you open a chest with a key, the door is probably 1 room over. It's not like you have any real friction between the two. There are so few times where you feel like there is something to look forward to because the game doesn't have anything stored for you as you complete it. Creating engaging stages, set pieces, encounters, rewards, or objectives is just more than what the creator was able to do. And once again, absolutely no shade is being thrown there. It totally feels like they did what they could with what they had, and that's great. They've finished a game, and that is worth praise. It's just that the game they finished feels like 40% of a truly finalized idea. That said, if the other 60% of the game was present, I would probably love this. It wears its heart and inspiration on its sleeve, it succeeds at what it knows it can do, and its shortcomings are interesting to think about from a design perspective. I will say that I gave up towards the end of this game. The last dungeon is a constant slog of combat encounters with a combat system that is maybe a little too unrefined to handle the amount of workload. Most of the game is a cakewalk, but this is the ugly opposite. Damaged, spongy enemies with nowhere near enough health drops to compensate. And man, I got other shit to do with my life other than ram my head against this wall anymore. Also, holy fuck, the fucking music is awful though. Like, Jesus Christ, I'd rather mute it. There has got to be better offerings from a public sound library or something.